Hi everyone, my name is Irene. I'm the founder of Certif.NFT. We are on a mission to make academic credentials digital and borderless. And in order to achieve this, we really help education institutions to issue digital academic credentials and transfer this to a student's wallet so that you as a student or learner become the owner of all these credentials, and you can share this quickly and easily with employers for verification purposes. We'd love to tell you more about this, but I think we can crack on perhaps with the topic itself. So I hand it over back to you, Tim.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you both. So again, the role of a founder within the build, that sounds exciting because every single one of us as CEOs and founders, we had a vision, an idea of building something, and essentially we're trying to solve a problem. And I've always heard this phrase, if you want to make money in business, just solve problems and the money is going to follow. So like, how did you come up with the idea? Where did it even come from?
Yeah, I think for me is I found out that a lot of founders in the tech industry, especially those early founders, they have no idea how to market themselves. It's like I'm competing with these giant companies and I'm competing with these new startups. So how can I brand myself? How can I differentiate myself from everyone? And I know that when I started my company, Information Systems Builder, it was really hard for me at the beginning. I was like, oh my God, there is a lot of people doing the same thing that I'm doing. How do I differentiate myself? And how you differentiate yourself is you find a problem that hasn't been solved and you make sure that you're the first person to be to resolve that problem, and you will have people copying you, right? But making sure that you're different every step of the way, and making sure that even if they steal what you're doing, or they try to do the same thing that you're doing, you're a little bit better because you started this and you know where you're going, and you know that, okay, I can, but knowing how to differentiate yourself is very important.
I think that's really huge. I think it's worth even like pausing on it a little bit, because we're always going to have a competitor. We're always going to have someone that's doing something a little bit different or maybe exactly the same. So being able to stand out is huge. The way that we did it with True Finance during the market research phase was we would read our competitors' reviews just to be able to see what the customers are saying. And one of the biggest things that stood out was customer service. And I can get into others, but that was one thing that we wrote down. We want to be the best among our competition when it comes to customer service and delivering, to make sure that they feel heard, their money is safe. So we went forward with things like getting SOC 2 certified. But that was one of our crucial points of market research. How do we differentiate ourselves? And we were able to do that by understanding customers' needs, by reading reviews. How about you, Irene? Like, what helped you like stand out as as you're building?
Yes, I would definitely echo around the market research part. Knowing what your competitors are doing, not just on the customer service, I think also from a technology side of things. If you're able to kind of distill what they're doing versus what you want to do, and how you can become better at that. And then the other aspect, I would say that perhaps really understanding the problem that you're solving through speaking with the people in the industry. Perhaps you and a competitor may be solving the same problem, but because if you've been speaking with real industry players or SMEs, you'll be able to get some insight that you otherwise wouldn't get. So being able to actually extract that and go after that problem, and see how you can actually solve it perhaps in a better way. So that's perhaps how I would see it. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I always say talking to your clients and your customers is very important, because they are the people that you want to solve their problem. So talking to them and saying, hey, what is your struggle? How can I help you? How can I better my product? And I always tell people, I say, launch your product. Even if it's not perfect, launch it, get criticism, ask your customers, this is what I've created. What do you think of this product? Is it solving the problem that I want to solve? And how can I better myself? So I think a lot of founders are like, well, I know the product and I love the product. No, everyone needs to love the product. It needs to work for everyone. So I would say to any founder, launch a product. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I think at the beginning, I don't know about you, Tim and Irene, I was like, I want my product to be perfect and it needs to be perfect. I was like, oh no, it's not perfect. We can't launch it. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
launch it and you will change it. I mean, it can't be perfect. I mean, you have to launch it, get criticism, ask your customers that you're targeting, hey, this is the product that I made, what do you think? And then you make little changes. So I think that's what big companies and some startups are struggling with, and they don't know that secret. Is the secret is just talking to your customers.
Yeah. That's huge. Essentially what we're saying then, and what you're saying, Sydney, is follow the data, because we can't follow our emotions or our original game plan. This is exactly what I'm building. We need to be able to be as flexible as possible to be able to pivot, because we're listening to our customers and we are following the data. That's huge. Absolutely.
Yeah. I was just going to add on that quickly as well. So I think on following the data side of things, you probably have some hypothesis. I think as each of us will probably have, that you follow and you assume that those are going to be right. But when you're testing that, I think then, you get sometimes surprises, and being able to pivot from there is important. So yes, I agree definitely on following the data. Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's how we're all going to stand out. And, that's just, a surface level. But what was it that helped you narrow down your MVP? Like, okay, this is it. This is the dream. How did you narrow it down? The thing that's going to really help you stand out.
I think for myself, and to share with you, with us at Certif.NFT, we are actually now building the MVP. And so for us to actually define the requirements, really, I think in order to actually come down to what the MVP would look like, it was really having your hypothesis actually validated. So the assumptions that you have validated, and then being able to know, okay, so the user journey looks like this, because from end to end I validated each of those hypotheses, and I would know that this is how the product is going to look like. And I feel that, I think along this process, it's not just us continuously making assumptions. I think it's good that if you have one or two parties, either your customers or users, being next to you and giving those feedback constantly when you're developing a product, but being able to actually, get back and reiterate, I think that's key for us to come down to the MVP. Yes.
Awesome.
How about yourselves?
Yeah, I think for me, it's those. I mean, Irene said it best. I don't really know what to add, but I think, like she said, like step by step, like, okay, this is what I want to build, and step by step, making sure that it all flows together. So I agree with that. I think also, I'm launching my software in a couple of days. So I think getting that feedback too will also help me. So yeah, I agree with Irene.
Very cool. Yeah, we had a moment when we were trying to really decide what our MVP is. Again, we knew that we wanted to help customers build credit, and like a little history, like update on where this even came from. I worked as a lending relations manager, so I helped. I worked with over 150 direct lenders in the subprime lending space. So I would see over 200,000 users coming through looking for some kind of loan because they couldn't find it traditionally. So we wanted to help these customers. Okay, we know they have bad credit. We know they don't have money on hand. Let's help them fix this problem. Let's help them own their money. And so it kind of came down to what is that pivotal broken piece? And it seems like one of the biggest things was customers don't make their payments on time and their credit utilization is awful, which between those two things, it makes up 65% of your credit score. So we kind of nailed in that we want one of our key features to be the ability to link in all your external credit cards, student loans, and then soon to be healthcare loans and auto loans. And with this product, we're telling customers that you can link in all your debt, set it on auto pay, and never miss a payment again. You're attacking two of the things that impact your credit most. And then on top of that, all your debt is going to be segmented by APR, so you can begin paying off the most expensive debt first. We just want to simplify money. Let's make it easy. Let's bring everything in one place. And then we've built in, I guess, complementary products like the cash advance, like the credit builder card, or the ability to see your credit score for free, and have the e-learning within the app. Okay, let's bring it all together, create a product that's really going to help them thrive. So that process, again, took following the data, talking to customers, and then, okay, this is our MVP. And then we're going to cushion it with a lot of support to make sure it works.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So what about like the next step? You figured out your MVP through market research. You figured out how you're going to stand out. How did you begin the build? And like what helped you expedite it, or what lessons did you learn throughout the build?
So I also wanted to mention a little bit of something. I wanted to say, when you start a company and you are trying to resolve a problem, you're never not going to resolve that problem. So what do I mean by that? I mean, when you launch your product, you're helping customers, right? But there's always new problems coming in. It's like, oh, okay, I wanted to resolve this problem, but I'm finding out that they also have this problem and this problem and this. So you're always solving problems. So I think for me now, is just connecting with, customers and making sure that, I just want to make sure that tech founders, to make their life easier, right? And they're already built. I mean, you guys understand, we're building a company and we're fundraising, and there's so many hats that we're doing. So if I can lay off a little bit of stress, I'm happy. So
Very cool. Very cool. So what during the build though, what made it, I guess, what were some of your first steps when you were actually like, okay, let's make this, let's bring this to life?
Oh, the first step. So I'm the only founder of the company, so I don't have a co-founder. I would say that the first steps were just finding, first I found the problem. Now you need to build a company. And when you build a company, now you figure out, okay, how do I solve this problem? What do I do? What do I need to do? What is the product that I need to launch? And when you find out that problem that you need to launch, now you need to find key players in your company. So who's going to do what? And I would say that's the most challenging, because you need to find the right people, right? And as a founder, you guys know you're the only one that cares about your company, truly. I mean, like, truly, you care about this product. You want everything to be perfect. So finding those key players was a little bit difficult for me. Finding people that care about the problem also is also key. To finding those key players, you want to make sure that everyone in your team understands the problem, understands what the customers are going through, and also want to solve the problem. So I would say those are the steps. But right now, where I am is we're launching the software, and I'm going to get feedback from customers, and I love feedback. I love criticism, and I feel like it makes me better. Some people don't like criticism, but I'm open to that. It makes me grow. So.
Absolutely.
Yes. If I can share a little bit around, I think to your question, Tim, around, what were the really first steps. So, I agree with Cindy, what she highlighted there. I think what I would like to add on as well is, in order to determine from an MVP the way it looks, I think it was quite important for us to come down, like, what are the requirements? And so the requirements from a product, like, how do you envisage this product going to look like? And I think what Cindy highlighted earlier, I think sometimes we would like to have a lot of requirements in there, like all of them are a must-have, like, and so it does sometimes make it a bit